Remember when Zidane was considered a potential signing for Blackburn Rovers in the 90s? Yes, in 1995, he was recommended to be signed from Bordeaux, but Blackburn didn't move forward because they already had Tim Sherwood as an attacking option. That was the quality and confidence Blackburn had back in those days, and deservingly so. English football in the 90s saw giants Manchester United and Arsenal top of the league table for most of the decade, but right in the middle of that period, a third club lies as the Premier League winner for the 1994-95 season. Blackburn Rovers became one of the first icons in the Premier League after it was established in 1992. They were promoted to the top flight the season before the First Division was converted into the Premier League. Being a newly promoted side, no one really saw them as a threat, let alone title contenders. But in their very first campaign back in the top flight, Blackburn finished in 4th position, sending warning signs throughout the league. It wasn't a fluke either. It was one man's dream, and he did everything he could to make it come true. We're talking about Jack Walker, a local boyhood Blackburn fan who grew up to become a businessman. He bought the club and took full control of it in 1991. He loved his club like very few owners have ever done. He said that Blackburn Rovers was one of the greatest clubs in the country. They were founding members of the new league, and he wanted to take them back to the top in this new era of English football. He offhandedly also mentioned how he was going to make Manchester United look cheap. The whole country would soon find out what he meant by that after Blackburn broke the domestic transfer record for Alan Shearer in 1992. The young striker was brought for £3.3 million and wouldn't be the only expensive signing. Within just 3 years of being in charge, he spent £25 million on signing players. That's an insane amount of money for the early 90s. This is the inspiring story of how one invested owner changed the fortune of an entire football club. Their journey from the second tier of English football to becoming Premier League champions is a unique tale because money played a huge part in it, but it's somehow still as wholesome as any other underdog story. Jack Walker put the wheels in motion as soon as he took full control of the club in January 1991. The first order of business was getting a top manager into the club to help them secure promotion from the second division. Kenny Dalglish was the answer, and he joined the club in October 1991. They qualified for the promotion playoffs and faced Leicester in the final at Wembley. A 1-0 win ensured their spot as one of the founding members of the Premier League. In 1992, a 21-year-old Alan Shearer was brought from Southampton to lead the line. Tim Sherwood also joined from Norwich City that year. The first season was a wildcard ride for Blackburn because the rest of the league didn't have a clue what to expect. This made the rest of the clubs a bit nervous, and they would be right to feel that way. Because in the very first season, Blackburn Rovers finished in 4th place, just 3 points away from second-placed Aston Villa. Manchester United won the title, but the unexpected finish from Walker's club was a great start for his dream to materialise. They still had work to do, and spending a record fee of £2.5 million on a goalkeeper was definitely one way forward. Tim Flowers joined from Southampton for a new record. Kenny Dalglish was an elite manager, and if given the right tools, it was only a matter of time before he would start succeeding. The 1993-94 season saw a title race between Manchester United and Blackburn Rovers. At one stage, United were 16 points clear on top, but Blackburn caught up to them by the latter half of the season. In April, they beat United to draw level on points, with only goal difference putting them second. But a switch in form resulted in United winning the league 8 points clear of Blackburn in second place. On the bright side, Alan Shearer had found the back of the net a whopping 31 times in the league, but the golden boot went to Newcastle's Andy Cole, who had 34 league goals that season. The signs were there for the squad to step it up next season, but for the most part, their foundations were in place by then. For Jack Walker, or Uncle Jack as he was lovingly referred to, stepping up implied bolstering the squad further. In 1994, he broke the club transfer record to sign Chris Sutton from Norwich City for £5 million. Whenever a new player joined the club, Walker and Dalglish would tell them the same thing. They were trying to win the Premier League and won't stop trying until they did so. Sutton and Alan Shearer clicked right off the bat, and the media started calling them SAS. That season, the Blackburn duo scored 49 goals together. Manchester United would respond in January 1995 by shelling out £6 million on Newcastle's Andy Cole, the previous Golden Boot winner. In the 1994-95 season, Blackburn spent £6.8 million on transfers, while United spent £7.5 million. The stage was set for a close title race right from the start. Andy Cole couldn't stop scoring. Neither could Shearer, who would go on to score 34 league goals that season and win the Golden Boot. Manchester United pulled off a 4-2 victory against Blackburn in October. After 11 games, Newcastle led with 29 points, followed by Forest at 27, while United and Blackburn stood third and fourth with 22 and 21 points respectively. This put Kenny's side 8 points off the top after approximately a quarter of the season played. But leading into December, Blackburn went on a 7-game winning streak and knocked Newcastle off the top. They were cruising quite impressively, and after a disappointing draw against Leicester, they won 4 more games. The next fixture was against second-place United at Old Trafford on the 22nd of January 1995. After a hard-fought battle that looked poised to end goalless, Eric Cantona broke the deadlock in the 80th minute to win the match. But just 3 days later, the Frenchman had lost his cool against Crystal Palace and tried to kung fu kick a fan in the stands. That infamous kick saw him sent off and the game ended in a draw. This turned out to be the turning point in United's season, as Cantona was banned from playing for 9 months. He was sorely missed by the team, who struggled to score against some sides after that. Blackburn drew against Leeds and lost to Tottenham, while United pulled off 3 wins in a row to displace the league leaders and take the top spot. But this would be only for a brief period, as losing to Everton and Liverpool hurt their chances of making Blackburn sweat. Kenny's men were soon back on top, and this time they didn't feel like slowing down. In April, a 2-1 victory over Palace sent them 8 points clear of Manchester United, but they lost their third last match against West Ham to shorten the gap. By the time the ultimate match was to be played, Blackburn stood at 89 points with Liverpool to play. Manchester United were close behind with 87 points and West Ham to play. There were no phones in those days, so you could see a wave of supporters holding radios to their ear to follow the other results. Shearer opened the scoring early, as did West Ham, and it all looked to be going well. Jack Walker was beaming in the stands as his dream unfolded before his eyes. But football rarely ever flows without any drama. Gary Neville set Brian McClair up to equalise against West Ham United in the 52nd minute. In the 64th minute of the Blackburn game, Barnes scored an equaliser for Liverpool. Blackburn now stood at 90 points with United at 88. A goal for United would have seen them win the league because they had a superior goal difference. But fate had other plans, because no matter how threatening an attack the Red Devils came up with, the ball simply refused to enter the net. West Ham's goalkeeper, Ludik Mikloško, deserves a special mention for the brilliant saves he pulled off that evening. Remember Jamie Redknapp? Well, in the 90th minute, he scored a banger of a direct free kick against Blackburn. To this day, he remembers thinking, "What have I done?" after scoring. He didn't want to see United winning the league because of him. But that goal confirmed that it was now up to Ferguson's men to clinch the title away from Blackburn if they could. The whole stadium turned into their radios, and suddenly there were a few exclaims, followed by a thunderous celebration at Anfield. Even with 90 seconds of the game left, the players realised why there was such a thunderous atmosphere. They knew they had won the title, and even though they were losing in the last minute, the players started celebrating during the final moments. Jack Walker and Kenny Dalglish had done it. They stood inside Anfield as the best team in the country that season and only the second ever Premier League winners. Blackburn had won the First Division title after 81 years. Dalglish left after winning the league, and even though Jack kept investing money into the club, they couldn't repeat their success. In the year 2000, the most benevolent club owner sadly passed away at the age of 71. The club was eventually sold by his family in 2010 and was relegated to the Championship in 2012. In 2017, they went down to League One, but got back to the Championship the very next season. The fans hope to return to the Premier League sooner or later, and maybe another dreamer can lead their second Premier League title one day. An owner like Jack Walker was a rare phenomenon back then and is close to impossible to be seen today. What do you think about Blackburn's only Premier League title? Why do you think they steadily declined after that achievement? Let us know below.